Hey, welcome to Live from Dennis's House. Today, my guest is the great Steve Conte. Besides his long, illustrious solo career, he's played with everyone. He's been everywhere. He's currently in Michael Monroe's band, and he was also in one of my favorite bands of all time, the New York Dolls. So welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
I want to say that we are not live from Dennis's house today. We're actually live from New York City at the famous music building. The famous studio where anyone in New York has played. Billy Idol,
yeah,
Ramones.
Madonna lived in here.
Really?
Actually,
I heard that
on
story.
the 6th floor, my brother and I had a room up here.
Oh, snap.
That Madonna lived in.
Get out.
Yeah, 604.
Wow, so you dated Madonna? Is that what we're hearing?
Let's not go that far. But she slept in my room.
Wow. So basically you slept with Madonna. You can say that.
My guitars shared the same space that she slept in.
Oh, that's awesome. See, that's one thing I did not know. So yeah, like I said, we're in beautiful New York City today, beautiful Times Square. And I have not been in the city for quite a while, for about a year now. This is my first time back. I grew up in New York City, but now I live way out in the suburbs. And I had more excitement today in my journeys in New York City than I had the whole year in the suburbs.
And I bet a lot of shit has changed in the past year since you've been
It really has. It really has.
And you go away for like 6 months or even 3 months.
Yeah, but it's still...
I go to Europe for the summer to go on tour, and I come back, and it's like... half the businesses on my block have changed. You know, new restaurants are open, the old ones are gone.
But it's still the greatest city in the world.
Yes,
Would you agree with that?
I agree.
You've been all over. Every city
agree.
you've been to, probably, right?
I wholeheartedly agree.
All right, so what's the second greatest city then?
It's sort of obvious, right? If I say London.
London, sure. There you go.
And then probably Paris and then Amsterdam.
Oh, all right, Amsterdam, sure. There you
or
go.
maybe it's Amsterdam and then Paris. I'm Dutch, so
okay.
I probably should say Amsterdam.
So I experienced everything there is to experience in New York City today. First stop was the bathroom at the Port Authority men's room there. That was an experience, just as beautiful as I remember. And then I walked all the way downtown, and it's just amazing that on every corner where I stopped, there was a beautiful supermodel and a complete freak. Every single corner. So at one corner there was no freak, and then I looked around and I said, I must be the freak if there's no freak here. So yes, I had a lot of fun. Oh, and another thing that was exciting as I was walking down there was a couple making out. At every corner, you stop at the red light, this couple would stop and make out, right? The light would turn green.
Couple?
The same couple. And so I would quick run around them and try to get away from them. And just like a horror movie, every time I stopped at the corner, they'd be right there again. I don't know how the hell I couldn't get away from them. But it was very exciting. And another thing, I stopped to get a hot dog. It was an enclosed booth. And I'm looking in, there's nobody in there. And I look around the side, and the guy had gotten out of the booth, the vendor, and he was busy praying. So I couldn't get a hot dog from that guy too. So it was a lot of amazing stuff here in New York City. The one thing I want to discuss here that I'm very fascinated, because I have a hard time getting from one end of the city to the other by myself, let alone a blind person. How I see blind people with the sticks walking around,
Yes, amazing.
And I am completely fascinated. I don't know how they do it. In fact, I am so fascinated with it that I once almost knocked the blind guy over because I was watching him with his stick, and I tripped over something, and I almost banged into him and knocked him over. So
You're a bad boy, Dennis.
yes.
They have the signals that beep, you know.
Okay. Oh, that's how they know whether the lights...
It speeds up when it's...
Can only the dogs hear it, or they can hear it
no,
too?
I can hear it. So
oh, okay. And I just love the dark, dirty side of it too, as well. And there was even a scene when I was waiting in Starbucks having coffee. Some guy came in there begging, and the crew jumped on him and threw him out, and there's a big fight.
Tell that story about me.
All right, so that's enough about my ramblings in New York City. Now let's get back to Steve Conte. Let me list the artists that you've played with first, and correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I hear here, it's Peter Wolf,
Yes.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yes.
Willie DeVille.
Yes.
Maceo Parker.
Yes.
Phoebe
Maceo.
Snow.
Maceo.
Billy Squire.
Yes.
Suzi Quatro. I heard that coming here in the car. I heard Suzi Quatro on the radio today.
On a record. Yeah, some of these people I've played on the records, but I didn't even meet them.
Oh, really?
Like Suzi.
Oh, okay. Too bad.
And Maceo. But still.
Chuck Berry.
Yes, met him. played
David
with him
Johansen,
live.
of course.
Yes.
You will get to each guy. Let me list them. Willie Nile,
Yes.
who's had just had his 35th anniversary or something the other night. It's a Stone Pony. Eric Burden.
Yes.
Etta James.
Yes.
Glenn Burtnick.
Yes.
He was actually on my show last week as well. So very Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yes.
Robert Gordon, who I
Yes.
love. Bernard Purdy.
Oh, yes.
Who was on my show a while back. And this one, Tiny Tim. How did that come about?
It's true. I played one gig with Tiny Tim.
Oh, really?
Yeah. From the New York Dolls to Tiny Tim. I was from Tiny Tim to the New York Dolls.
Oh, that's
It
something.
was a strange one. You want to ease into that? Or?
Oh, you want to come back to Tiny Tim? Build up to it? All right.
Yeah,
So let's actually start from the beginning now about you. We're going to do, usually my show, we pick one album, the guests come on, we discuss that. But we're doing something different tonight. We're doing a Steve Conte retrospective. So we're going to talk about everything you've ever done. So let's start from the beginning to your humble beginnings in Matawan, New Jersey. And that's how we know each other. We actually have mutual friends, Sue and Sharon and Michelle Policari. And
Hi, girls.
yes, and your mom was a jazz singer, right?
Yes, she
and
was.
your brother is a great musician too, a bass player.
Yeah.
And then you guys, you go back over this, I'm just going to list it. You guys were in Company of Wolves, you had Crazy Truth, then you were in New York Dolls, Michael Monroe, and Steve Conte NYC.
And a
So
whole bunch of
start
stuff
from the
in
beginning
between.
and tell us how this all came about.
Well, actually, we're not from New Jersey, but
Okay.
we're from, our whole family's from upstate New York.
Oh, really?
And we lived in Buffalo. I went to kindergarten in Buffalo, way up there. And then we moved to a suburb of Buffalo. But the whole family's basically from Utica, around that sort of Mohawk Valley area, Syracuse. We have relatives up there.
Okay.
So, it's like central New York. But luckily, my father had the foresight to move us out of there and to Matawan just while I was like in 5th grade. So, or 4th grade. So, 5th grade, I started my first band, and me and my brother recorded our first album in our living room when with a neighborhood kid, a kid from across the street who was a keyboard player.
Can we get that on vinyl? Do you have that?
I have it on tape, actually.
Do you really?
I still have
Oh,
it.
man.
Actually, there's one cut that's on my album Linoleum, which I'll hold up later.
Okay, cool.
From that. So we, there was so much, there was like kind of nothing happening upstate, except that, the Beatles were everywhere. They were ubiquitous, so we of course heard the Beatles, and I mean, I heard everything on the radio up there. I heard The Who, I heard the Small Faces, I heard, the Buckinghams, all that cool, 60s music, and so I already kind of was bitten by the bug, and first I was a drummer. I loved Ringo, he was my hero.
Yeah, okay.
And by the time we moved here, I was still playing drums. My brother was a guitar player.
Oh, really?
Actually. And I picked up his guitar one day and just found I could write songs and sing. So I thought, I can't be stuck behind a drum kit and be a lead singer and songwriter. So I switched to guitar, and then he switched to bass, and here we are.
There you go. Rest is history.
Yep. So we grew up in Matawan there and played, had our, like, what you do when you have
Right,
kids'
your
bands, you
garage bands,
the
and high
swim
school
club and the high
bands
school
and
dances and the
Battle of the Bands.
yeah, Battle of the Bands, and it was all good. But we realized if we wanted to kind of break into something bigger, we'd have to leave Matawan.
I'm very interested now in how the New York Dolls came about. We can go back if you
wanna
want
fast
to.
forward?
But I want to fast forward here for a second of how that happened. Did you get this call?
Am I boring you?
No, we'll go back. But you're hesitating. This is a live show here.
Well, I have so much more to tell.
We'll come back.
No,
You can tell anything else.
so here I am, in New York, and this is my theory. It's like you hang around a place long enough and get a good reputation for yourself, do good work, and people talk about you and pass your name around.
Yeah, it's just like any other small town. New York City, the music scene, just like a small town. Everybody knows each other.
It kind of
right?
is, you know. Once you're at a certain level.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a minute to get my foot in the door when I first got here, but
Right.
but after a while, you know, I knew all of these guys, like Jimmy Vivino from the you know, the Conan band,
Right.
and some other guys who recommended me to David Johansen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I knew these guys from playing around town. They would see me. I would play, jam with their bands, whatever. And I guess David had been playing with his blues band, Harry Smith's.
Oh yeah.
He had been playing with Jimmy a little bit, and this guy Larry Saltzman, another guitar player. And he asked both of them. He said, "Hey, I'm thinking of putting the Dolls back together. Who should I call?" And they both said, "David, don't call anyone else. I got the guy for you. Steve Conte. He's perfect. He's got the right look. He's got the right guitars. He's got the right sound, the right feel, the right vibe. He's the man. Call him."
You're absolutely perfect. You
And
even
so
look like Johnny Thunders too. So
that's what
play
you
the
know.
Gibson, right? Yeah.
You know, I used to have the Dolls' first drummer. You know the story about Billy Murcia?
Yeah. He like died,
He died
early when he was like
yeah.
21.
Yeah, he died in the bathtub in London before they even got signed. Or
Right,
anything.
right.
So when I was 15, this Colombian family moved into our town, Mattawan, and this weird long-haired Colombian dude used to follow me around and go, "Hey man, you know who you look like? You look like Johnny Thunders." I'd be like, "Johnny who?" You know, I was 15, I didn't know. And so he started coming to my house and bringing me like Dolls records and Criminals, Sylvain's Band, and
Right.
Heartbreakers. And I find out, he says, my brother was Billy Murcia.
Oh man.
So he was
Awesome.
so I had this like, you know, encounter when I was 15 in Mattawan
Oh, wow.
with this guy who was the drummer.
That's an omen.
The brother, yeah, of the New York Dolls original drummer. And he'd tell me I looked like Thunders and whatever. You know, didn't even faze me a bit. I didn't even, like, he played me the music and I was like, yeah, it's okay, but I'm listening to Jeff Beck, you know. I mean, I really wanted to,
Right.
you know, be a player. And then, yeah, so years later, here's Johansen calling me up. And we had lunch. And by the end of lunch, he pretty much offered me the gig.
Nice.
He said, I took, what did he say? Well, I can't remember the exact words, but something like, hey, I have all these CDs and lyrics for you right now if you know.
Yeah, go home and learn them.
Yeah, he had already like been prepared to give me the gig, I guess.
Cool. Just
Or he
like
had them just in case.
feel you out.
Yeah.
So you went on tour with him and you made albums with him?
Yeah, so we did the first show in London with Arthur Killer Kane when he was still alive.
Yeah, right. I wanted to talk about that. He was still alive at that point. He was the bass
great.
player.
Yeah, and I love that guy, man.
Yeah.
You know, I only got to know him for about a month, but real sweetheart, and I learned a lot from him about, you know, what the scene was like back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because, of course, I was, whatever, 12.
Yeah, that must have been crazy. Early 70s, New
Yeah.
York Dolls,
Yeah.
Maxes, all that stuff.
Yeah, I was 11 or 12 or 13, whatever, you know.
I wish I was old enough to go to that.
So, yeah. And then Arthur passed away, and we got...
Yeah, you played like on his last show, right? You were there with him, right?
We only played one show. We played
Oh,
one
okay.
show in London at the Royal Festival Hall, and then actually what they did was they added, it sold out immediately.
Uh-huh.
It was on a Friday night,
Right.
so they added the Wednesday night before it because
Okay.
that was open and we were in town anyway. So we ended up doing 2 gigs at the Royal Festival Hall, but the Friday night was the one that was filmed and everybody was there. Chrissy Hind and Geldof and Shane McGowan, all these crazy people backstage. Mick Jones from The Clash.
Nice.
And, you know, they all kind of came up and introduced themselves to me, and it was like, okay.
I get used to this.
Because they were all like, oh man, you played a blinder, mate, you know? I was like, well, all right. Even Chrissy Hind, who was very, you know, she is very militant about her like animal rights.
Right, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had like leather pants and suede boots on, and she came up and I was like, "Oh, please, Chrissy, don't look down, don't look down right now." And she's like, "Man, fucking kick ass, man, Johnny, you get Johnny up solid."
Nice.
I was like, "All right, just don't look at my shoes."
But the good thing is you didn't have to wear women's clothing at that point. They stopped that. So.
Yeah, well, you know, I remember David just saying, "We're just gonna dress like rock stars, right, guys?" I was like, "Fine with me."
Yeah, right.
You know, somebody asked, "Are we gonna wear drag?" You know, he was like, "No, we're not gonna wear drag." He said, "It's like you're in a high school play." He said, "Just pretend you're in a play." He said.
That's funny. So
I remember when we came off stage, he said, "So how do you think it went, Stevie?" I said, "It was good." But I said, we had a lot of train wrecks up there though, because we had a new drummer.
Oh,
we had
okay.
this guy from the Libertines, Gary Powell.
Okay.
For some reason, Morrissey, who put the show together, wanted David to use Gary Powell, the Libertines drummer. And we only had like one rehearsal with the guy, and then we went and did the show. So Sylvain was like trying to cue him.
Oh, brother.
Like, here's where it's ending, but like I thought it was ending somewhere else, and so there was all these train wrecks. And so when we came off stage, David said, "How do you think it went?" I said, "Yeah, it was good, except for the train wrecks." He goes, "That's what people expect from the dolls."
Exactly.
Oh, bing. Now I get it. You know?
Other band might notice it, but that it's expected with the dolls. So yeah, those guys lived hard. I'm surprised any of them are still alive. To tell you the truth. That's one of the things actually that I love about Steve Conte NYC. It has all of this feeling and great melody, and it's reminiscent to me of things like Johnny Thunders, early '70s Stones, and even Replacements. And
Love 'em.
that what made me want to ask you about this, because I saw you actually were posting something. You were at the Replacements concert, really, hanging out with Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, doing shots or something. Tell us about that.
So we were all at the Replacements show in London last week, and up at the VIP bar up there, and here's Grohl like lining up the shots. And I came up to the bar, and I was like, "Oh, Dave's buying shots for a lot of people." I was like, and he turned around, and I said, "Hey man, it's me, man." You know,
Oh, nice.
Said, yeah. I said, "Well, how long have you been a fan of the Replacements? Have you loved them since you were a kid too?" And he said, "I never heard them before."
Oh, really?
I was like,
"Who's
so
the Replacements?"
Yeah, so he kept like turning over, you know, coming over to me and go, "Man, what's the name of this song? You know, what album is this from?" I was
These guys
happy.
are pretty good.
I was happy to share with him because you know that's my favorite band.
Yeah, I love it.
So and you know, at one point Dave just you know handing the shots around. Of course, you know, it was just like a matter of fact.
Nice. Let's talk about Michael Monroe now. So New York Dolls to Michael Monroe. If you don't know who Michael Monroe is, he was in the band Hanoi Rocks, which was one of the founding fathers of glam punk rock of the 80s. He was like the first one there before Motley Crue, I believe.
Yeah, so I seem to have gotten these gigs with these like proto punk and
Yeah,
proto sleaze metal, you know. I exclusively play with the guys who influenced the generation.
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
guys
Yeah.
After they've influenced them already. No, but it was great to be in the Dolls and you know realize how many people they really influenced.
Oh, absolutely.
And then playing with Michael and Sammy. Sammy's the bass player in Hanoi Rocks who came into the Dolls, and he brought me with him to Michael.
Okay.
Those guys influenced Guns N' Roses.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Hanoi Rocks. You know, all those Sunset Strip bands.
Motley Crue.
Yeah.
All of those guys.
I'm not sure because Motley Crue was around the same time.
Right around the same time, and actually, that's the famous story.
I think Motley Crue was more took their thing from Kiss and the Dolls probably.
Yeah.
Hanoi Rocks was '82 and Motley Crue was already happening.
Right, with Vince Neil though was driving the car that killed the Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a sad story because that's pretty much the end of their.
Right.
You know, they were poised for
Superstardom.
I guess.
Yeah.
And, Shit happens.
And this guy is amazing. He's been around since then, and he looks exactly the same as he did in 1980.
Michael, yeah, he's like the craziest front man.
Quite a beautiful man, I must say.
Yeah, he's a force of nature. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that come about? How did you get that gig? How did you know this guy?
Sammy. I've been playing in the Dolls with Sammy for 6 years, and then this Dolls were sort of slowing down, and Michael had folded the revamped version of Pandora Rocks that was out there with different guys, and he said, I want to go back to doing my own thing, and Sammy said he would join him, and they were putting a band together, and they called me.
Nice. So, and you guys, actually, you're coming out with a new album, which you wrote a lot of too, right?
Yeah.
And you opened up for Slash recently, and you're doing, like, I see mostly Europe tours. You guys planning on playing the U.S. or what?
You know, we haven't played the U.S. since 2011, maybe.
What's up with that? He doesn't like traveling, or
nothing to do with that. It has to do with the state of rock and roll in America. Hello.
Yeah. But still, there's enough fans that'll come out to see him.
You think?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, if you can get them to all put their money up in pre-order ticket sales, then they can afford to do it.
All right.
That's the thing, you know. It's like people ask all the time, "When are you coming to America? How come you're not coming to Canada? How come you're not coming to Singapore? How come you're not?" You know, like it's supply and demand.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if there's not the demand, you can't go there. I mean, you can't even afford to buy your plane tickets to go there if you don't have.
And he's from Sweden, right?
He's from Finland.
Finland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael and Sammy are both Finnish. And so we play a lot of gigs in Finland. I am intimately acquainted with Finland.
You go there a lot? So
I'm going there next week.
Oh, yeah?
Just came back from there.
And is he like a god over in Finland?
Yeah,
and,
he's a god in Finland. He's...
yeah, so why go anywhere else then?
He's, you know, The Voice, the show.
Yeah.
Like The Voice, whatever, America, The Voice, England.
Right.
He's the voice of Finland, one of the coaches.
Oh, is he really?
The show.
Wow.
So he's on TV, you know, every week in every Finnish household.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
great.
TV
I wouldn't come to the U.S. either.
And this is my latest. Steve Conte NYC. Do you have this album?
I don't have it, but I've been listening to it on YouTube a lot.
You bastard. I'll tell you what, man.
If it was on vinyl, I would have bought it. I don't listen to CDs anymore, ever.
You don't have a CD player?
I have one, but I only listen to vinyl now.
Really?
And my old albums.
So I shouldn't bother giving this to you?
No, you can give it to me, because I'll listen to it in the car. I listen to free CDs.
Music always sounds better when you pay for it, people. So yeah, so this is my latest. Steve Conte NYC. There's my ugly mug right there.
Yes, this is a great CD. I will vouch for it. Everything I love.
Here's my favorite part of this. Ah! You'll have to
buy it to see what's in there.
What that was.
It's shocking.
SteveConteNYC.com. Go there. That's for you, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
All right,
and go out and buy this, all you other people, because this is a great album. If you like music, if you like Stones, New York Dolls, Replacements, good music with melodies, guitars, go out and get this. It's awesome. Now, before you go any further, I want to talk about, you were playing the other night at BB King's. Was it the Steve Conte NYC band, or was it solo? And you were playing at BB King's with Southside Johnny.
Yes.
How'd that go?
We opened the show for Southside, and he came up and joined us on harp on a tune, which was a blast. And then he called me up on their encore, and of course my brother John was the bass player in the Jukes.
Right.
So John was up. John played with both bands.
Oh, cool.
And Southside called me up, as he's done a few times when they played BB King's, and I did the encore with them. It was a blast.
Wow, that must have been a lot
of fun. We did one of their songs called "Working Too Hard," and we kind of went into a Stone song, and it was a blast.
Oh, cool.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Oh, I got albums. Oh, I was just thinking about like the album, you know, like.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes, that's perfect.
I mean, you know, I just grabbed two of my favorite albums of my childhood, and you know, for this reason, you know, what you could do with an album that you can never do with an MP3 or a CD, even is this.
Yes.
Hey, look at this Led Zeppelin 3.
You can
spin
hours.
this wheel around, and we would spin this wheel and go, like, look, oh, I hear my brother next door, by the way, playing bass.
Oh, that's it?
Like, there's one, I don't know if you can see this. You people certainly can't, but
I think you gotta be smoking weed to see it. You can't find it
which
anymore.
leads me to my next. Anyway, there's one picture in here of John Paul Jones with this crazy, like, violin-shaped bass, which we would go around for hours, like,
Trying
just
to
like I
find
just
it?
did. Like, where is it, man? I saw it yesterday.
Oh, you missed it. We gotta go
saw
back
it
around
yesterday,
again.
yeah. But, you know, so cool. And then, like,
Well,
of
now,
course,
before you go, the part of the show that I always do, it's a tradition, is we have to smell the album. Take us back to when we were stupid teenagers smoking weed. This is not that strong, but check it out. Doesn't that remind you of sitting in your parents' basement checking it out?
like I said.
And of course,
And
the
of course-
great,
and of course,
possibly the
there's-
greatest album of all time.
There's this one, which, you know,
That's a very underrated album, by the way. Led
Oh, I
Zeppelin
love
3.
Three. I love
It's a great
Three.
album, all out.
Out of the
Great, course,
Tiles, I mean,
yes.
it's like crazy.
Mhm.
You know, and, you know, more fun with sleeves.
Yes.
Sleeve by Hypnosis, remember? That was the company that did, and, you know,
And this
back.
building is in New York City
Yes,
somewhere.
this is on St. Mark's Place.
Okay, yeah. Always wanted to get my picture on that porch, but...
And I just had to bring this just to
There you
remind you guys of what we used to do with vinyl in the 70s, where you could probably still find some seeds.
Yeah, it is. One
in
just
the,
fell out. There it is.
You know, this was like where you,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, manicure your crop.
Yeah.
And,
So if you have to pick one album, what's your favorite album of all time?
oh, probably have to go with the White Album just because.
Oh, there you go.
You
Can't
know,
beat
there's
that.
more variety than any other album.
And it reminds you of the time when you were in the Manson family. So we better wrap this up now. Steve's falling asleep here, and I think we went through everything we can imagine. All right, one before that though, we're gonna burn some bridges here right now. I've spent my life burning bridges, so you burn one too. Tell me, who's the biggest pain in the ass you ever met in show business? Or you can take the fifth if you don't.
So many. It's hard to choose.
All right, then on the flip side, who was the nicest?
The nicest. Jeez.
Besides
All
me,
of
of
them.
course.
All of them.
All right.
You know, I probably could come up with that if you give me a few minutes, but
Yeah, for
you know,
next time.
seriously.
So, all right. Well, that about does it. We way over time here, so we're going to wrap this up. And Steve is going to record some songs now, and that is that live from Dennis's house with the great Steve Conte. Go out, see Michael Monroe. Go on the website, Steve Conte NYC. Buy all that stuff. See them when they're coming around. It's great bands. And that's it. See you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.